So let's talk about paper versus e-copy. In the event that you're offered a paper copy, which is unlikely, twice in my career has somebody asked me for that. The first time I said, yes, I want everything. I want a paper and e-copy. That's the last time I'll ever ask for paper. E-copies are just so much easier to deal with. The paper then has to be shredded and disposed of carefully. So it's just much better to do the e-copy. It's easier for you to manage and analyze. There's no shredding. It's easier to produce documents from it and also export. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes there are rare occurrences where the paper might be a better chart than the e-copy. Sometimes the e-copy can be a summary. So be aware, if you get a document that doesn't look like the documents that you see traditionally, you might be having a summary of that document and you need to ask for the actual one. And that's a service that we provide that the attorneys can't tell. So keep an eye out for that. And of course, any variation in record condition when you first get it, it's important that you understand what that is. The earlier, the better. Very often what will happen is, as I said earlier, there's somebody that can organize that record. You get it, it's paginated, it's clear, and you might review 1,000 pages of records in an hour. But if it's completely untouched and I have 1,000 pages, it might take me as many as 10 hours, depending on how disorganized it is. And so I would much rather charge the client 5 hours than charge them 10 if somebody takes the time to do some of that work. Now, if they say we want you to be that person, then that's a different scenario. So just keep that in mind. And as you go through this, understand that different record conditions are very important, right? You might get a complete or an incomplete record. There's such a thing called a certified record versus non-certified record. In my experience, a certified record is no more reliable than a non-certified, but it's all ultimately going to depend on who was the person that was fulfilling the record request and how thorough are they at their job. And so understand whether that is submitted in part or in whole. Now, when you're organizing a record, there's several ways that you can do it. You can organize it by time, and the dates of care might be a great way to clarify if it's a long timeline. A lot of times it's a surgical case, right? And so that might happen in a series of 6 hours. In that case, there's only one day, and there's a number of times in a sequence where the events occurred, and that can be very helpful as well. Sometimes, though, you can organize the records by type. So the dates aren't as much important to me and the times might not be, so I might try to put the notes together by the type of notes that they are. So the intake notes, the office notes, diagnostic and labs, operative notes, or ER notes, as an example, right? Makes sense. And you might be able to tab those as you organize the record, keep them all together if that's the easiest way to peruse the information. Some of the things that you might want to consider when you're starting your business, if you start to use PDFs a lot and you like Adobe, you can opt to go for their upgraded version, Acrobat Pro versus Standard. Some of the benefits about that is expanded abilities, including things like signatures, and also converting documents into different types, editable documents and things like that. And that allows you to cut and paste and manipulate the data. Not that you're going to change the document itself, but you're going to be able to put that into formats where you can assess more effectively. So just keep that in mind, that there's a tool that you might be able to gain some efficiency with eventually. Other helpful tools, we talked about OneNote. Any kind of cloud storage is going to be helpful for you if you don't have it already. Just get used to keeping all your documents on the cloud and do that from the beginning. You'll thank me for it, because again, you'll be able to keep that information no matter where you are in the world. And then also, I use an app called TurboScan on my phone. Whenever I need to scan something, I keep that in a record. Even if it's business expenses, I keep that. But a lot of times I'll scan documents and send those directly from my phone as well. It's great for being able to do that. And then finally, if you're interested, there's some good voice-to-text software out there if you're the type of person that likes to transcribe some of the information that you're reviewing. Some people find that very useful when they're reviewing charts.